homesteaders, gardeners, and cooks. My name is Jennifer. Welcome to Miles Away Farm, or welcome back. Today in the kitchen we are making homemade pad thai. And if you are anything like me growing up, I occasionally went out to eat Thai food, and this was certainly not something that I thought I could make at home. And over the ensuing last 30 years, I've become more and more comfortable with different Asian ingredients. And the reality is it's a lot of mise en place, so it's a lot of things that you need to have ready to go before you start putting things in the pan. But once you've done that, it comes together in about 10 minutes, and it's super easy and it's really delicious. And what I love about this is the pad thai that I eat in restaurants, I often find to be really sticky sweet, like it's way too oversweetened. And with this, I can control how much sugar is in the dish. And so that's really nice. The basics of pad thai sauce are it needs to have some kind of saltiness, it needs to have some kind of sourness, and it needs to have some kind of sweetness. And so Thai food is often about the interplay and the balance of those ingredients. And so the sauce is really the most important part of this. And it's simply tamarind paste or tamarind concentrate. I'm using tamarind concentrate in this video, which has kind of a sweet and salty, a little bit tangy flavor to it. That's where the sour is coming from. In traditional pad thai, if you were making it overseas, it would have palm sugar in it, which is a hard chunk of sugar that's a little bit like brown sugar. And in this country, obviously, I'm just going to use regular sugar. I'm using organic white sugar, which still has a little bit of that molasses flavor in it. And then for the salty, we're going to use fish sauce. And fish sauce is one of those things that I was very intimidated and kind of grossed out about in my 20s, and I have come to love. It is a fantastic condiment, and it brings a great salty umami flavor to things. I don't find this taste fishy, it just tastes delicious. So the pad thai sauce is really the key to this whole dish, and then the rest of it you can change out as you see fit. So you could use different size noodles, you could use different kinds of noodles. If you really wanted to not use rice noodles, you could try something else. You could use chicken instead of shrimp, you could use tofu, and you could play around with the different veggies that were in this. It would, drift away from the traditional pad thai, but it would still be delicious and it would still have that great sauce. So pad thai in the kitchen. Let's get started. So this is 8 ounces of pad thai rice noodles, and I'm just soaking these in hot water while I get the rest of my ingredients together. And here's our pad thai sauce ingredients. So tamarind, rice wine vinegar, sugar, fish sauce, a little bit of cayenne pepper, and some peanut oil. And I'm adding 3/4 of a cup of hot water to this to make the sauce to thin everything out. So there's our tamarind going in. It's pretty sticky. A couple tablespoons of that. A couple tablespoons of fish sauce. A tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. 3 tablespoons of sugar. 3/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, that's optional obviously, and then a couple tablespoons of peanut oil, which just helps everything loosen up once it's in the pan. Gonna give that a good stir, make sure that sugar's dissolved. We're gonna dice up 5 or 6 green onions and beat a couple of eggs. And then into our pan, we've got a tablespoon of peanut oil going in here, and you can use whatever kind of vegetable oil you like. I just happen to have peanut oil on hand. We pour off our natural peanut butter, the oil that's at the top of the jar. We just pour it into our peanut oil container. And then into this is going a pound of shrimp. These were pretty small shrimp. They happened to be on sale, got a good deal on them, and so these are a little smaller than what I normally use. And the key to shrimp is to not overcook them, and so literally the total cooking time here is about 3 minutes. So I'm just gonna spread everything out in the pan in that oil, give it a little bit of salt, about 1/8 of a teaspoon, just to give a little bit of flavor to those shrimp. I'm gonna cook them on one side for 1.5 minutes or so, and then give them a good flip. Shrimp gets really rubbery when it's overcooked, and so my main goal with this entire dish is to not overcook these shrimp. As you can see, there's a little time lapse of them starting to cook all the way through. Gonna give that a little bit of a toss, and then flip any over that I didn't get onto the right side. A little bit tedious when the shrimp is this small. and then another minute or so, and these are gonna be just about done, and they're gonna cook more in the sauce, so they can be slightly underdone at this point. I'm gonna remove my shrimp and set those aside. Add another tablespoon of peanut oil to my skillet, and then I didn't have any fresh shallots, so I'm using about 3 tablespoons of frozen chopped shallot, and then 3 cloves of minced garlic as well. And I'm wanting to brown this in that oil until it's just starting to take on a little bit of color. So 2 or 3 minutes here. And I left the garlic, I hand chopped it rather than minced it so that it would not get done quite so fast because I didn't want it to over brown and get bitter. But giving that a nice stir until we're just starting to see some color. Shallots are often the base of a lot of Thai cooking, which is interesting because it's not something we tend to use a lot in American cooking. You can see just a little bit of color there. And then to this, I'm going to add 2 beaten eggs. And I'm, again, trying not to overcook. So I'm doing a really soft scramble here. I've turned my heat down just a little bit. And this is going to cook. This is real time. So this is going to cook really quickly. And then just when that's softly set, because I know it's going to keep cooking, I'm going to stop and add the rest of my ingredients. And I pulled that off the heat for a second while I was grabbing what else I needed. And then in go our soaked noodles that have been drained. And my experience with these kind of noodles is just follow the package directions. I find that every brand is slightly different, and I sometimes have had problems with them either being too mushy or not cooked enough, and so I just followed the directions on the package for these. Give that a stir with the egg. Mostly I'm trying to get the egg on top of the noodle so it doesn't cook too much. I'm adding in my pad thai sauce and the white part of my green onion. And then I'm tossing everything, and my goal here is to bring that sauce up to a boiling point, and it should finish cooking those noodles and absorb into the noodles. And so I'm looking for all of that liquid to be pretty much absorbed. Adding everything back in along with some of the green parts of my scallions. Our shrimp goes back in, and then about a 1/4 cup of chopped peanuts. And what I forgot to add right away, you can see I've still got quite a bit of liquid in the pan, so I'm just going to keep cooking. But this is 9 ounces of bean sprouts. I think the recipe originally called for 6 ounces, but bean sprouts do not hold in the fridge, and it was a 9-ounce package, so I just threw them all in there. And what this does, I want them to still have some texture, so I don't want them to overcook, but it lightens everything up and keeps those noodles from just being one big giant wad. So I'm working those down into the sauce and basically just cooking them until they are wilted and until I don't have any more liquid sauce in the bottom of this pan. And this whole process takes maybe 3 or 4 minutes. It's really quick. And I am occasionally pulling out a noodle and tasting it just to make sure that we're getting where we want to be. And then once things are pretty much finished cooking, I'm going to add the rest of our peanuts, which is probably another couple tablespoons, the tops of our green onions, and then about a 1/4 cup of fresh chopped cilantro. And then this gets served with some fresh squeezed lime, and that is going to just brighten everything up with that fresh lime and give you that great contrast between sweet and salty and tangy. Absolutely delicious, you guys. This should definitely be in my regular rotation. There you go, pad thai. Give this recipe a try. And I'm thinking of just making a lot of this sauce ahead of time so that it's ready to go whenever I want to make a batch of pad thai. It should hold in the fridge indefinitely. Thanks for watching, Tribe. If you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment, and share. I have new content coming out every week.